to On the Playing Field. I am your host, Coach Cheryl McCormick. Now let's get to it. Hello and welcome back, everybody, and welcome to those of you that are new to this podcast, which this podcast is fairly new. This is episode 2. We're going to be discussing mental well-being in high performance. Welcome to On the Playing Field. I am Coach Cheryl McCormick, the owner and founder of Gravitational Performance and School of Sports Research Science. I am honored to be here today to discuss a topic that is increasingly vital in the world of high performance sports. And let's just say it, it's vital, it's essential, it's major, it's everything in general in life. You, me, the next person, mom, a child, a teacher, a CEO, a coach, an athlete, right? And that topic is mental well-being. All right, so for too long, the conversation around elite performance has really focused predominantly on physicality, tactics, and technical skills. Yet, mental well-being is not only that foundation that really supports that physical excellence in high performance situations, it is that very link between overcoming challenges, managing stress, and really thriving in high performance environments. So today, we'll explore how athletes often identify closely with the mental challenges of their careers without fully understanding, okay, not always, but often fully not understanding how to manage them, can really benefit from integrating mental skills training, MST, into their actual routines. Okay. So we'll also discuss practical strategies that coaches that are listening, and adults or anybody for that matter who interact with athletes can actually implement to foster an environment where both mental and physical is prioritized as much as just the overall physical health. All right, so let's understand that current state of mental well-being in high performance and what this means. So, really, in high performance sports, that mental pressure can be as intense as, if not more challenging than the physical demands of the game. Athletes, especially those on the cusp of professional or league status, face a really unique challenge of stressors. Relentless training schedules, the pressure of media scrutiny, those expectations both from family and friends and everybody else in their personal lives, and then the internal battle that's going on with self-doubt and that perfectionism and consistency tool that most high-performing individuals need. Now, many athletes proudly claim to be mentally tough, to have that mental resilience. However, this toughness can oftentimes mask unresolved stress and real anxiety. They might not recognize signs of burnout, depression, or overwhelming pressure until those issues really start to impact performance and well-being. It really is common. I see it often among athletes who have honed their skills on the field, yet really struggle when they're confronted with moments of doubt or high stress situations, maybe off the playing field, away from training, challenged by coaches, challenged by family members and other individuals that maybe recognize a little bit of what's going on. Sadly, because they often believe that physical training is the primary path to success, they may overlook that significant role that mental preparation actually plays. So today we're going to actually look at why acknowledging and actively managing mental well-being is essential for sustainable, optimal peak performance. Now, I want to say that a lot of times individuals are told that the physical aspects, the physical attributes to sport performance and being the best out there is what is needed and what is necessary. to be at peak performance, to get recognized, to get drafted, to get picked to be on a elite team, right? To even go college bound. Okay. And for younger ones, what does this mean? To be a starter on the varsity team in high school, right? We're looking at that as well. Okay. So it is essential that we understand that athletes tend to believe that they have the mental resilience, but really often lack, especially in my profession, in my years of experience in working with athletes and coaches. It is just that I'm mentally resilient. I've got that mental toughness, but they're crumbling inside. And it often is the parents and the friends who witness that and say, I think you need to go see somebody. I think you need a mental consultant or see a sports psychologist or talk to somebody, right? Because they are struggling internally. All right, so let's be honest. Sometimes athletes think of stress as just another part of the game. You might hear them say it's part of the grind, or I've just got to get used to this pressure. While a level of pressure can be motivating, when stress becomes overwhelming, it can lead to decreased performance, injury, and even mental health issues and complications. So, really, many athletes coming to professional or league status aren't equipped. Now, I don't want to say not always, but highly likely unequipped with the actual understanding or strategies to manage their internal struggles. They identify with mental toughness, but without a corresponding mental skill set. This actual toughness, quote unquote, or resilience that they tend to think can actually lead to silence when they need help the most. Now, this is where I work with athletes, and in my double master's program, I decided to integrate a lot of the concepts and skills that I've learned over the course of many years through education as well as practical application, being the practitioner role and working with several coaches and athletes in schools. That it was essential, it was imperative to go ahead and bring these efforts, bring these tools, bring the knowledge to the opportunities of younger student athletes to implement it into programs so that they have access to it. Okay, so they have an understanding at younger ages that is essential that we look at the college and elite and professional league status to already have obtained and to have already implemented in understanding, recognize, and building self discipline around these concepts to be able to transition smoothly without all of this. But what do we do when that is not implemented? Okay, so that's where I brought it forward many years ago, and I've seen the beauty unfold in several different schools and programs around the US. And I am truly honored and grateful for the opportunity, but to see this come to light and to see this actually unfold the way I had planned, and it's still working through, and we're trying to figure out the next steps in certain areas. And again, just being able to see young minds building concept and developing personal development and athletic identity in these critical areas where often, like I said, it is often not brought to the table when they're hitting those college opportunities or professional opportunities. So it is critical that we understand mental well-being as a dynamic state, one that requires regular maintenance and the same kind of structured attention as physical training. Now, the notion of just being tough is no longer enough when dealing with multifaceted challenges of really modern high performance environments that we're seeing today. Welcome to EPA 01, Sports Career Pathways, Exploring Professions in Athletics. I'm excited to share an incredible opportunity for anyone interested in exploring the dynamic world of sports careers. Our upcoming course is going to be open this summer and is designed to be your gateway into understanding the vast array of professions in sports and athletics. Key details to this course is that it is titled EPA 01. For that is Sport Career Pathways, EPA Exploring Profession in Athletics. So it is the first half in a 4-week segment, and there's a second half that will be next year, another 4 weeks. It is going to be open this summer, and registration is currently open. It will be closed soon once all of the spots have filled up. Whether you're just starting out in middle school or already in high school or maybe early college, there's a spot for you. So 7th through 8th grade track is tailored for younger students who are getting a first look at what a sports career might offer. And then we have 9th through 12th grade and early college track, which is perfect for those who really are ready to dive deeper and explore a range of athletic career pathways. So don't miss this opportunity to kickstart your journey into that fascinating world of athletics. If you're ready to explore various professions from sports management to athletic training and beyond, make sure to register today and take that first step towards an exciting career in sports. Thanks for listening, and be sure to check out more details on our website. Let's get ready to explore, learn, and launch our careers into athletics together. All right, so let's imagine a scenario and maybe a day in the life of somebody in a high performance situation. So I want you to imagine for a moment that you are an elite athlete. Yes, you are an elite athlete. Okay. Maybe it's an early morning and you're preparing for a crucial game that could define your future professional career in sports. So the schedule is crazy. It's relentless. Training sessions, media obligations, community events, and obviously constant travel, right? Because that's something that comes with sports. So on the field, your physical training is a demand. It is at the peak level of physical training. It is something that you cannot get away from. And there are certain pressure mounts. There are certain situations that you're going to go through, highs and lows and stress. You notice your thoughts begin to race. What if you let the team down? Okay, these are thoughts. What if your nerves get the better of you during a specific decisive moment? So during a pregame practice session, you catch a glimpse of the coach who has been quietly integrating mindfulness and mental rehearsal exercises into the warm-up. Okay, so think about that. Your coach has been integrating these mental practices, mindfulness, if you will, something that we all know, well, most of us know much about, right? As you participate, you begin to feel maybe a subtle shift, okay, because you're participating in this. Your racing thoughts momentarily slow down and you focus on your breathing, okay? A simple yet very powerful tool. So you realize that your mental state isn't fixed, okay? It can be managed and strengthened and even perhaps trained. Okay, so you thought at this moment that you had a fixed mindset and there was no growth opportunity. This moment is transformative because it underscores that mental preparedness is actually a crucial physical tool that is necessary in your performance. Now, consider this scenario from maybe a coach's perspective. Okay, so we're going to switch roles here. You've watched your athlete struggle, so now you're a coach and you are looking at this and you're watching your athlete struggle with those rushing thoughts and that anxiety before games. Rather than telling them to just toughen up and decide to incorporate structured and mental skill sessions into your training regimen, you think before doing. Okay. So by working with perhaps mental performance coaches, sports psychologists, mental consultants, and using techniques such as visualization and imagery, breathing training, positive self-talk, PST, you are helping your athletes actually develop the internal resources they need to rise to that occasion. So let's dive a little deeper into some mental skills that are proving to be very effective in the community and in high performance context. So we've got mindfulness and breathing exercises. Okay, so mindfulness training really teaches athletes to anchor themselves in that present moment, breaking a cycle of negative or destructive thought patterns. So simple breathing techniques, like I've mentioned before, the 4-2-4 can actually calm that nervous system and provide that clarity through high pressure situations and moments. So when an athlete can actually slow their breath, they can often slow that racing mind as well. Then we've got visualization and mental imagery. Okay. So creating a mental picture of a successful performance can prepare athletes to navigate real life pressure, real life stressors and situations that they go through. Visualization is not just imagining, it's not dreaming. Okay. It's not just thinking about a perfect play. It's also really about anticipating the challenges and rehearsing those best responses. It's really about creating a scenario or recreating a former scenario in the mind's eye and being able to replicate utilizing several different things like all of their natural senses: touch, taste, smell, hear. What is it that you're hearing in a stressful environment? How is that impacting your performance? And why is it that we need to enhance this area or remove a certain aspect of it to better your performance? So, this skill trains the brain to recognize and overcome obstacles, giving athletes a clear roadmap during competitions. All right. So then we have positive self talk and cognitive reconstructing, okay, or restructuring. So the words we say to ourselves really matter tremendously to how we're going to perform and how we act and react. Athletes may really anticipate between self criticism and self doubt. So, positive self talk, again, PST, involves reframing negative thoughts into motivational, assertive statements. Now, cognitive restructuring can actually help athletes challenge that automatic negative thought process, which is stemmed by the feelings and emotions, and then rolled into the thought process, and then self talk, and then acting upon. Okay. And it's supported by a coach or a mental performance professional really to develop healthier and more productive thought patterns. Again, positive self-talk is not just something that athletes can work on, cognitive restructuring as well. Okay, it's all high performing, all individuals in general. Okay, when you think about it, a mother and a father might have situations. They split off, go their separate ways for work during the day. One encounters this, the other encounters that. Then they come home, one stressed out, the other's, bothered by the stress. Negative thoughts start arising, and then that escalates the situation. A lot of what we practice in the psychology of sports and high performance industries can also roll over into how we work individually. You don't have to just be in a high performance situation to actually utilize and benefit from these skills. Now we have goal setting and mental toughness as well. While many athletes speak of that mental toughness and, oh, I'm mentally resilient, achieving this outcome really requires deliberate and consistent goal setting and effective goal setting methods as well, not just basic generic goal setting. Celebration and really just a reward system for small wins and strategies to actually bounce back from setbacks. Okay. So developing a pre-performance routine or a personal mantra or a cue can help maintain focus and resilience in that face of challenges and adversity. We also have emotion regulation and stress management techniques. And these techniques, such as utilizing a journal logbook, which is my thing. I have all my athletes try to journal as much as they can about highs and lows, goods and bads, success and failure, really help develop a supportive routine and also help, aside from utilizing the progressive muscle relaxation techniques that can help equip athletes into the need of anxiety and getting rid of some of that, it can actually really benefit an athlete because they can oftentimes from journaling, just writing down, start to see patterns. I've had athletes come to me and say, "Hey, Coach McCormick, I realized something. I realized that from writing this so much that I was starting to realize, oh, wait, I found my problem. I found what's actually bothering me. I realize that I'm writing this over and over each week, answering challenge questions to my daily performance. And I'm starting to see that I do need this." Okay. So again, really writing and logging and communicating. Communication is not just between two people. Communication can happen within, right? But communicating these highs and lows and developing a supportive routine and a supportive system. And journaling is a very supportive system if you know how to use it. And utilizing skills and techniques such as things like progressive muscle relaxation, where you're going to relax certain parts of your body at certain times, and then your whole body is going into a relaxive state, can really help athletes learn how to manage their stress and their anxiety and really rebound from major disappointments and setbacks. All right, so now let's translate mental skills to everyday practice. Now, we can do this by bridging theory and practice. So, for athletes who are pushing forward towards a professional or league status, elite status, mental skills training should be integrated into their daily routines in a way that feels really natural and supportive. Coaches can lead by example. In fact, I encourage all coaches to lead by example, really allocating that dedicated time. Really pushing forward with dedicated time to train individuals, to train themselves, train their athletes in vital areas like mindfulness and visualization, or even doing teamwork. So they can do one-on-one, they can do teamwork group sessions, and then obviously leading in group discussions about actually managing on and off field pressures and stressors that happen and occur. But I want to always put this into reality and say, while I work with coaches too, it is understanding that they have busy schedules, So we've got, youth level coaches, high school, and some college, depending on, what the level college, that are teaching, that are also busy doing other things. They're grading, they're held responsible for multiple roles. And I've had a lot of coaches in the past and present that have said, coach, like, I really love what you're doing and I want to participate in this, but I'm so busy. And so I really can't learn another skill and do more because I'm limited with what I have already in the time. And so often it can be difficult, especially when coaches don't have that background and don't have psychological aspects, understanding the training and the techniques, to implement. And so they focus heavily on the skills and the plays and what needs to be done. So the team is actually executing on that level, right? So I've had that and I understand. And what we want to do is make this easy. My goal is always to make it easy, and so that they understand how they can integrate a lot of this stuff into practice sessions and quickly. But first things first, a coach needs to have a level of respect and appreciation for mental skills training every single day if we're going to ask their athletes to do the same. And I like to say that coaches are, because they are, it's not just I like to say, but recognize that coaches are the leader of their team, right? Coaches lead by example. All coaches. I don't care if you're a youth, right? A youth level coach, high school, college, elite level coach, or a professional coach. Okay. You lead by example. So the way you treat yourself is going to be the way you're going to be treating others, and the way you treat others. I want you to look at that as well. So when we think of mental skills, often we want coaches to actually lead by dedicating their time during training sessions to actually practice mindfulness and visualization. Okay, this allows the athletes to come together and have a level of respect for each other and the situation and the environment. And it also develops that cohesive dynamic that is obviously necessary for sports. So, for example, consider a post-practice reflection session where athletes are encouraged to discuss one mental challenge they faced during the training and maybe share a strategy that has helped them to overcome it. Okay, so this doesn't, really normalize the experience of stress. It transforms it into learning opportunities for every single athlete in that team. So, creating a culture where mental health is openly discussed and valued as physical condition, as the same as the physical aspects and conditioning, can really reduce that stigma and empower and motivate athletes to really seek help when needed. Now, I've had several coaches, I've had several athletes mention, well, I don't want my team to look weak. I don't want them to think that if we're talking about these things, they're going to look this way and they're going to start changing how they act. And maybe, easy little stressors are going to impact them significantly. And then they're going to need more attention to that. That's not the case. That's just not the case at all. In fact, the more support that an athlete gets, regardless of age, I don't care if they're in their 20s or 30s, okay, the reality is that we're all human. We all endure stressors. We all need support. And when an athlete feels disconnected from a team or disconnected from a coach, well, then there you go. What do you think is going to happen? How well do you really think they're going to perform? Okay. So let's think of a role, a scenario, how we can actually foster a mentally healthy environment. So let me share a more detailed scenario that can highlight on this role of the coach. So maybe picture a team preparing for a championship match. So that energy is high, but beneath the surface, maybe there's quite a bit of tension. Okay. If you know a team like that, raise your hand. Okay. I know that from my own personal experience. What team doesn't have tension? If it's an all female team, tension's high, right? It doesn't even matter. All guys, high, right? There's always tension when it comes to competition. There's always tension. Okay. So one of your key players who has maybe always been a reliable performer on the team, seems unusually withdrawn and maybe distracted. So instead of dismissing this change as, something strange, maybe it gets worse, or the emotional signs of weakness actually start to erode on this person, you decide to hold a brief mental session or a mental reset as a coach. Okay. Because again, this is maybe one of your key players, somebody who has always been reliable and always been there. So you decide to hold this brief reset mental reset just before a game. And often, if it's like a football game, then in the locker room before they're coming out, basketball, the same thing, right? A mental reset in between whatever it is that you do or say, whether it's a prayer or something else. Okay. You guide the team through visualization exercises. Okay. Visualization imagery, asking them to close their eyes, take in that deep breath, and picture themselves making key plays, overcoming those obstacles and challenges, and ultimately succeeding as a together unit, as a team. So you encourage them to acknowledge the nervous system they are obviously feeling, and then to channel it into focus and really determination. So this exercise not only can calm athletes and individuals in their performance anxiety, really, but also it can strengthen that team bonding experience, really showcasing that emotional vulnerability that they go through. And, to provide support. This opens up athletes and their opportunity to communicate more effectively during performance. Okay. So this is really important. And I want you to really think about this, but it is not something that can be just randomly implemented at any time if it's not practiced. This does need to be practiced way before integrating it into a competition. And this is part of my 3-step process. Is here we are educating, learning about it, go to the next step of integrating at practice, not at play. Okay. And then once we have it down and there's consistent development, well, then there you go. Right. You can then implement it into a sports competition. All right. So let's focus on how we can bring and deliver these mental skills into your daily life. So, beyond the training field and in the competitive arena, these mental skills have a broader application. They're equally relevant in our everyday lives, whether you're dealing with work related stress, family responsibilities, or unexpected challenges of any sort. So, this discipline of mindfulness practice, for example, can help anybody cultivate focus in moments of real distraction and adversity, challenges, stressors, etc. So, visualization and imagery techniques often used by elite athletes to prepare for competition can also be used to really set and achieve these personal goals that all athletes and high performers have. By framing mental well being as a life skill rather than a specialized tool, or thinking that, oh, it's just another extra that I have to add, another piece that I've gotten away with not necessarily integrating prior, and I've gotten this far, can really create that community culture. So again, bringing this tool together, we in in sport, can really create a community, if you will, a culture that values emotional intelligence and building that the real resilience and mental toughness that many athletes say, I've got it, right? So for athletes in the room and the adults and coaches guiding them, it's about finding that balance, if you will. Okay. When you integrate mental skills and physical training, you're not only preparing athletes for that next game or match or, competition, you're actually equipping them with lifelong strategies to manage stress, overcome obstacles, and really thrive in any kind of situation, understanding how to implement self discipline and really the true or mental resilience. Okay, so I want you to imagine a future where every single athlete from grassroots to elite level status has access to really great comprehensive mental skills training. So in this future, coaches regularly integrate mental well-being discussions into practice sessions. Sports organizations prioritize that mental health just as much as that physical conditioning and the mental performance training, because again, I try to always, integrate this into my podcast, any type of recording, any live appearances, webinars, public speaking opportunity, that mental health is not the same as sports psychology in terms of a performance enhancement or a performance related coach. Now, it bleeds. They tend to bleed together because, yes, on both sides, we have to understand psychology, right? We have to understand the importance of mental well being and mental health and burnout and depression and cognitive behavioral related aspects in performance, and how to push the envelope, how to get the athletes to move forward and to not go there. Okay. But it doesn't mean that we are technically diagnosing or vice versa. Okay. We're really there to support the athlete altogether. And both a clinical and sports psychologist are going to support the athlete as the same as much as a mental consultant, a sport performance specialist, etc. Okay, really, when you look at the whole picture in sport performance and development, for many parents that might be listening, the reality is that all of us that have high level education and qualifications, certifications, years of experience, we're really all encompassed within a similar area. One might practice nutrition, the other might practice medicine, the other might be athletic training and building up the physiological components, and the other might be on the mental side, or the psychological and neurological side. Okay, so when we all come together, we're really focusing on developing a solid well-being student or student athlete. Okay, student athlete or athlete. That's what I meant to say. Okay, so we're all support mechanisms, and we all tend to fall for the majority of it under a sports medicine team of professionals. All right. But when it comes to mental health, yes, there are going to be clinical individuals that can diagnose, treat, specialize, provide certain things that a mental performance or performance specialist, coach, or consultant still with high level of education cannot do. Okay. So I want to focus on the fact that altogether, really bringing this mental well-being can prioritize mental well-being, mental health. I can't get this a tongue twister, if you will. Okay, and really just as much as the physical conditioning of a high performing athlete, and really just how to overcome a lot of these strategies. Okay. So, transforming and transitioning to this model isn't without its challenges. Okay. It really does require a cultural shift from seeing that mental toughness as the absence of vulnerability. Okay. To embracing that vulnerability as a gateway to growth. But again, athletes really have to own it, they have to see it, they have to want it. And again, working with athletes at all different ages, if it is not integrated at a younger age and it's not really something that a coach is not pushing, then often what we're seeing in my area of work is that the athlete has very little respect for it. Okay. And so I think that today parents are starting to catch up. I know I work with coaches, different schools, and all over the US, and it's beautiful. They're starting to say, hey, my athlete has this going on, a lot of distraction going on, because they're human. They have stressors, right? So the reality is that we are providing support and opportunity for all high performing individuals to really thrive and excel and be their best. So in closing, I invite you to challenge the conventional narrative that simply states athletes are tough. Okay, so real toughness does come from acknowledging that mental well-being is really a journey, and that every athlete, every coach, every adult needs that toolbox of mental skills to navigate that inevitable pressure and stressors of high performance in sports. And we can roll into that in another episode. But, like, really, what is high performance? What does that mean? And why are there stressors in sports? Well, there's all kinds, and for multiple reasons. There's a lot of competition, there's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of demands placed. And again, depending on each individual's goal and positioning in a sport, well, there it goes, right? The sky's the limit with that conversation. So, really, by incorporating mental skills, mind body practices, if you will, such as mindfulness, visualization and imagery, and positive self talk, and breathing techniques, and reframing and restructuring, we're not just preparing to face the game and the challenge, we're really preparing for life and all the things that we get faced with every day as adults. So let us lead by example by investing in mental health, investing in mental performance, speaking openly about challenges, and creating an environment where mental skills training is really an integral part of every practice and every single day. And it doesn't have to be, as long as practice at all. It could be as quick as 5 minutes. Hey, everybody show up 5 minutes early. We're going to do this together as a team. If you don't show up, I know you're not serious about it. All right. So today I encourage each of you to really reflect on your own routines. Ask yourself, what mental tools am I using? What additional practices might help me or those I coach? Okay. To perform at my best. Let's work together to build this supportive network and resilient community in sports, ones that actually value mental well-being as highly as that physical aspect. Thank you so much for your time and commitment today to not only improving your performance on the field, but also enriching the lives of everyone involved in the sport community. This is my journey. This is what I'm here for. Please do reach out if you have any questions or concerns, or have any interest in other topics that you would love to hear me discuss.